From Morant being involved in controversy after controversy to Kyrie Irving suiting the team more than he does, here's why the Memphis Grizzlies should trade Ja Morant. His controversies are a good starting point because there have been so many of them. Only this season, it makes you wonder, given how Ja isn't exactly an indispensable superstar in the NBA just yet, he's getting there, but for now, he isn't. How long would it be before the Grizzlies finally decide that enough is enough? Or do they have a live and die by Morant game plan? Either way, there has to be an expiry date on what Memphis wants to do. Not to mention, we've seen far more talented stars waste their careers in similar fashion. So it's not like this is a case with little to no precedence. The organization stuck by the face of their franchise this season when he got into trouble for flashing a gun in a club and then threatening a 17-year-old with a gun as well. All this after a report emerged over the summer that Morant had threatened a guard too and watched as his friend shoved said guard. To me, this doesn't seem like isolated incidents at all. There's a clear pattern emerging, and the Grizzlies need to be very careful about how they approach building their future around him. Sure, so far, these reports have been limited to threats only, but it doesn't take long for incidents to escalate further. And it's certainly a bad look for a player who's considered a cornerstone for the franchise. In fact, the Grizzlies are already paying a price for it. As per multiple reports, the Memphis Grizzlies are the most hated team in the league. Of course, I'm not claiming that it's all down to Morant's antics, but they've definitely contributed. Being the most hated team by fans isn't an easy feat to achieve, if I'm being perfectly honest. It takes some doing, especially with the number of controversies surrounding the Phoenix Suns. Yet the Grizzlies have outdone them when it comes to being a disliked team. It's even more of a concern for them because most people lean toward teams with a younger core. Not only does Memphis have a young and talented roster, but it's also one that has shown a lot of quality and success in recent times. In only a couple of seasons, the Grizzlies have shown that they have all the resources to become a regular playoff team. And having been to the playoffs last season, they also made a lot of noise in the postseason, losing only to the eventual champions, the Warriors. When you have that much talent and a bright future, you can't let one star, no matter how good he is, ruin it all because he can't keep his off-court attitude in check. Like I said before, Memphis needs to decide and their time is running out. But it's not like Morant is the most important player on their roster. Don't get me wrong. Ja Morant, the player, is absolutely phenomenal. Anyone who says that they don't enjoy watching him play is lying. No one in the league is more electrifying than the human highlight reel of the NBA. But entertainment value does not equal importance. That's why I feel Morant is more replaceable than fans and the Grizzlies actually believe. Taking into account his poor attitude, I suggest the Grizzlies should seriously consider moving him on this very summer. His value is still sky high, and they could get some very decent players in return. It's a better idea to build their team around the Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr. In JJJ, you've got someone who is more responsible on and off the court. He's someone who can be the face of the franchise too, and he's extremely consistent as well. Pair him up with a decent center and replace Ja with a superstar point guard, you've got yourself a great team. This is more evident when you look at how the Grizzlies tend to perform better without him. I mean, let's base this off the eye test alone. Y'all watched the Grizzlies-Lakers first round series from the 2023 playoffs, right? Remember game 2? Yep, the one that Ja didn't play, and the Grizzlies had the rest of the team making up for his absence. Well, many believe that the home side actually looked better without Morant playing. It suited the way Desmond Bane and Xavier Tillman play and allowed them to handle the ball more often than they would when Ja's running the show. Again, don't fault me for saying this. He's a superstar and a certified bucket getter. But the Grizzlies have enough players who can get you the points. What they need is someone who's more of a team player than a ball hog. Not to criticize Ja, but he is closer to being a ball hog, and his numbers suggest that too. He's got vision and the skill to find the right player too. But more often than not, Morant ends up playing the game on his own and ignoring the help around him. You'd understand if he was playing with a mid-roster, but the players playing for the Grizzlies are amazing, and in a way, Morant running the show ends up costing Memphis more than it benefits them. In the 2021-22 season, the Grizz went 25 in games that Ja didn't play. This season, it was 11-10, but that's mostly because Memphis had other players out injured too, and most of those defeats were on the road to much tougher opposition. Ultimately, though, the fact is, the Grizzlies underachieved in the 2023 postseason. the hype around Memphis is still very much true. They don't need to blow up their roster. All they need is some decent recruitment to improve, and they'll be just fine. In fact, the first big decision has already been made by Memphis. Apparently, there's no way back for Dillon Brooks as far as the Grizzlies' front office is concerned, and now they need to make a similar decision regarding Morant as well. For many, Brooks and Morant's hero ball was the reason the Grizz couldn't make it past the Lakers, and if they'd been more suited to what Memphis was looking for, they would have defeated the 7th seed and moved into the second round of the playoffs. As a result, the Grizzlies shouldn't be leaving it too late to make such decisions, because another season with Morant leading the line might be very damaging for the team. Why? Because if he's involved in another controversy, which I wouldn't bet against, there's an increasing possibility that the Ja Morant stocks fall a bit more. It doesn't take long for a player to turn into a villain. Look at what's going on with Ben Simmons. Look at how Kyrie Irving nearly damaged his star power. This isn't a risk worth taking for Memphis, who have the resources to take the next step toward a championship. It's just one that they'll have to take without Ja Morant, but the front office would know that there are plenty of options out there. As per NBAnalysis.net, Ja could move to Houston in a blockbuster trade. Before you criticize this move, just hear them out. It's a deal that'll see the Grizzlies land 7 first-round picks, along with Kevin Porter Jr., Alperen Sengun, and Jae'Sean Tate. It suddenly seems a lot better, doesn't it? Sengun is one of the most exciting centers in the entire league, and given the way the Grizzlies play, the weaknesses the Turk has on the defensive end would be covered up immediately. He'll add that X factor to an already terrific side. Kevin Porter Jr. is another fantastic shout. KPJ has come leaps and bounds this season for the Rockets, and he'd be a very decent replacement for Ja. While he may not be the finished product just yet, Porter's got the ability to make that guard role his very own within no time. That said, if the Grizzlies are after ready-made superstars, a deal with the Phoenix Suns could be on the cards. Ever since the Suns moved for Kevin Durant on the trade deadline, there's been speculation about the Phoenix side adding a superstar guard next to him too. They've been heavily linked with a move for Kyrie Irving in the summer, but their attention could turn towards Memphis if Morant hits the trade market. Like the KD deal, the Suns would have to give up a lot in addition to Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, but maybe the Grizzlies have their eyes set on one of the younger Suns' talents in addition to CP3 and Ayton. It's a move that makes a lot of sense for the Grizzlies as they get a veteran point guard in Paul, who can teach their young guards the trade. And they get Ayton, who'd benefit big time from a change in scenery. But there's another team that could make a move for Morant too, the Dallas Mavericks. It's not the most reliable of rumors, and given the lack of resources in Dallas, it doesn't seem likely. But a potential trade would see the Mavericks sign and trade Kyrie Irving to the Grizzlies, while receiving Morant in return. Irving will be accompanied by Josh Green. I know the Mavs have been reluctant to give up Green, but if they're getting someone as big as Morant in return, they'd have no option but to trade Green as well. The Grizzlies would have Kyrie running the show while having a shooting guard of superstar potential in Green. Both players suited very well to what the Grizz need, while the West will have a new formidable duo of Luka Doncic and Ja Morant. So, from Kyrie Irving being a potential replacement for the Memphis guard to his constant involvement in off-court controversies, these are the reasons why the Memphis Grizzlies should trade Ja Morant.